What's up guys, this is the Dragon King. If you do enjoy this video, like, share and subscribe and comment down below. Now let's begin this new video.
At that time, Yi Yu activated his spirit guardian. He yelled for his spirit guardian to appear, and his entire body turned blue. Everyone was taken aback by the intense aura emanating from the spirit guardian. A raindrop emerged on the top of Yi Yu's head a few seconds later, and he smiled confidently, thinking that everyone would be amazed with his raindrop guardian. When they spotted the single raindrop on the top of Yi Yu's head, they were all speechless. They were all expecting to see something more powerful. Lee Fung burst out laughing as he mocked him, pointing to his raindrop. Shui Yan facepalmed. Shungting was mute and her face was blank, with no expression, and she wondered if this was his spirit. Yi Yu had a smirk on his face that made him appear unconfident, and he inquired what they thought, and how it's not that bad right now. Li Fang's spirit guardian roared, and Li Fung yelled at him, asking him how he could battle him with a raindrop, and Li Fung yelled at him again, telling him that he has no concept of death or danger. Yi Yu smiled darkly as he told himself that the evil he causes upon himself is the most difficult to endure. Li Fung and his spirit beast charged at Yi Yu, intending to kill him, and Yi Yu's spirit guardian moved in order to counter the other spirit guardian. When Li Fang's spirit guardian and Yi Yu's spirit guardian clashed, Li Fang's guardian crumbled as it was overwhelmed by the raindrop spirit guardian. Finally, the raindrop spirit guardian passed through Li Fang's spirit guardian, causing him to fly back in pain and shock. And his raindrop spirit guardian forced him to the ground, and Li Fung clenched his teeth in rage, thinking this was impossible. Yi Yu simply stood in front of him, staring him down. His bodyguard charged towards him as he was going to punch him, as he yelled at him not to hurt his young master, as his spirit guardian materialized and snarled at Yi Yu. Yi Yu had a mad look on his face as he told him he was going to kill him to prove his strength today. And their spirit guardians battled. And then there was an explosion that blew out everything around them, as individuals shielded themselves from the debris and damage going on around them. Both Yi Yu and the redhead prepared to attack again, and how there was dust and wreckage everywhere. Yi Yu clenched his teeth in wrath, thinking about how strong this person is, and blood spilled out of his mouth as he was in pain. The blood python tightened his teeth, unable to believe that Yi Yu had fended off his attack. And Li Fung yelled at the bloody python to kill Yi Yu right now. And at that time, as Li Fen pointed at Yi Yu, he looked at him and saw Yi Yu glaring at him, and he started sweating bullets realizing what he had done. Yi Yu grabbed Li Fang's neck and choked him, telling him he is sorry that he won. Shui Yan was astounded by the strength of Yi Yu's guardian spirit. And in the rear, followers were discussing how the blood python is at the late stages of his spiritual level, and how that youngster can yet match him. Shungting grinned cheerfully, believing that Yi Yu could save Yan Shan. Blood Python yelled on Yi Yu to release Li Fung, and threatened Yi Yu that if he didn't, the Jet Fire sect would hunt him down. Yi Yu grinned as he told him that the Jet Fire sect had a dangerous enemy dubbed the Surge sect, and he suggested that he give them Li Fung. Li Fung pleaded with Yi Yu in dread, saying he would do everything for him if he would let him go. After hearing what Li Fung had to say, he hit him, slapping him so hard that a number of his teeth were knocked out. Yi Yu grinned, and he exclaimed, "It's too late. Anyone who makes a move on his woman must perish." The unknown guy approached, but Yi Yu didn't notice him because he was still gripping Li Fang's neck. Suddenly, all of the disciples felt a heavy spiritual pressure surrounding them and were unable to move. Yi Yu clenched his teeth in rage, realizing that this person had reached a higher level. And the enigmatic guy revealed himself as the executive leader of the Jetfire sect, wielding a perfected level Flame Wolf. Li Fung quickly noticed him and summoned Flame Wolf to assist him. Miss Yan was nervous as she inquired about Flame Wolf. A minute later, she discovers he is the executive chief of the Jetfire sect. Yan Shan exclaimed in surprise that he was the master of Blood Python late stage perfected level. Then he realized they were screwed. Flame Wolf activated his power, a red aura covering his body, and each stride he took broke the earth, and in a deadly tone, he asked him, how dare he attempt to assassinate the youthful master of the Jetfire sect. The spiritual pressure from the Flame Wolf intensified, and the ground fractured even more. Yi Yu smashed Lee Fung to the ground, coughing up blood. The hero grinned, thinking that the refined level was really strong. Flame Wolf flashed red as he threatened to chop him up if he didn't let him go. Yi Yu was also serious, threatening to kill Lee Fung. Flame Wolf told him that he doesn't think he can do it. Flame Wolf took another step on the ground. Yi Yu cursed him. The protagonist had a crazed expression in his eyes as he choked Lee Fung, and Lee Fung immediately couldn't breathe. The Flame Wolf leapt in front of him and hit Yi Yu in the stomach, sending the hero flying back. And he smashed against the wall in agony, slumping against it. Flame Wolf pointed at him and told him that he couldn't do it. Lee Fung chuckled evilly as he told Yi Yu that he was now safe and that it was his turn to die. Yi Yu summoned his raindrop guardian spirit and questioned him whether he truly believes he is secure, to which he replied that he does not. Strong raindrops shot right at Lee Fung. And Li Feng's eyes widened in surprise, and Flame Wolf worriedly called out for Li Feng. And all of the raindrops pierced his body, instantaneously killing him. Flame Wolf and the other followers were stunned to learn that the second Grand Master had died, and they pondered what they should do. Others were disappointed that the Flame Wolf couldn't halt Yi Yu. And they were all aware that they would be punished when they returned. Flame Wolf became infuriated and yelled that he would kill Yi Yu. Miss Yan yelled for Flame Wolf to stop at that precise moment. She stood protectively in front of Yi Yu, shouting for the Flame Wolf to accompany him to the Jet Fire sect, and she threatened him, warning him that if they didn't allow them to leave, she would kill herself. Yi Yu chuckled and told her she was his sweetheart, ordering her to kiss him. Miss Yan gave him a friendly grin and told him that he wasn't serious in this scenario. Flame Wolf braced himself for an attack as he yelled at her that even if she joined the Jet Fire sect, she will still perish. And he attacked Miss Yan, causing her to spit up blood and fracture bones throughout her body. Flame Wolf summoned his guardian spirit and concluded his sentence, telling her that they would perish together. And then there was an explosion near Yi Yu. Everyone noticed a large little crater after the blast. Oh, it appears that Shungting was not harmed by the attack. It was only Yi Yu who was hit, and Miss Yan was taken aback as she wondered if this was the might of the refined level. Blood Python chuckled. He told her that this was his master's most powerful attack, and that the boy must have turned to ash. When the dust settled, everyone noticed a figure with a golden aura holding the flaming wolf's hand. And that woman was Shui Yan, who lacked emotion. And the flame wolf was sweating bullets in terror as he gritted his teeth, angered and terrified as he realized he couldn't move. Blood Python and Miss Yan were taken aback when Shui Yan deflected Flame Wolf's punch. Flame Wolf was sweating bullets as he apologized to a more powerful master, as he told her he didn't recognize her, and he inquired what her name was. Shui Yan simply yelled at him and kicked his head, telling him to piss off, and he flew away. Shui Yan took a serious glance at Yi Yu, informing him that he will teach him a martial art talent and that it is up to him to learn. In the background, all disciples of Jet Fire sect were worried about Flame Wolf and they asked him if he's okay, and everyone was wondering who Shui Yan was. Shui Yan showed him the technique she intended to teach him, and this was Peerless Finger Skill. The hero watched how Shui Yan showed him the technique and realized that it was far more powerful than Stormy Tide Palm. When she used the Peerless Finger Skill, a slew of miniature fireballs rained down to Flame Wolf. And the Flame Wolf was taken aback since he recognized this approach, realizing that she is not from this realm, but rather from the Jade Pool Wonderland. And Shui Yan's blow hit Flame Wolf, knocking him out instantly or killing him. And we can observe how the attack caused damage in the surrounding area. Shungting was astounded and terrified when she saw how powerful Shui Yan was, and she wondered who she was. Shui Yan gave the hero a weak look and told him to take her back. And she began to feel groggy, which the protagonist noted. Shui Yan collapsed, and Yi Yu dashed towards her, hoping to catch her. Yi Yu gazed at Shui Yan, concerned about her, and yelled to her, asking her what had happened to her. Miss Yan moved closer to Yi Yu, but his eyes widened in surprise. And the heaven thunder went towards her and it struck her. Miss Yan was shocked to see the sky's thunder here, and Yan Shan warned her to be cautious. As lightning crackled around Shui Yan's body and Yi Yu didn't know what to do, Yi Yu uttered the blonde's name sadly. Miss Yan turned to face Shui Yan. She was suspicious, and when she learned it was the Heaven Thunder, she asked herself, how did she get the Heaven Thunder in her body? The lightning still flashed around Shui Yan's body, and Yi Yu apologized to her. The hero gazed at her with sadness, realizing that Shui Yan had broken the seal and produced a thunderstorm. Yi Yu blamed himself, believing that it was all his responsibility. Yi Yu leapt somewhere and landed in another spot. Shungting followed him and asked him where he was heading. Yi Yu refused to answer her queries because his face was lifeless. Yi Yu informed her emotionlessly that she could leave since he had to save her. Miss Yan raised her voice, warning Yi Yu that the conflict would attract other forces in the city, and that he would be unable to return. She attempted to sprint towards him. Yan Shan, the old guy, stopped her and told her they had to leave. Yi Yu entered a hotel room and took a piece of her top, thinking that he did block the thunder like this last time, and telling himself that he thinks it will work this time. Shungting yelled at him, wondering what he was up to. She suspected Yi Yu of doing something immoral. Miss Yan tried to stop him, but he stared at her and instructed her to keep put. Shui Yan choked as the lightning flashed around her. Yi Yu touched her and tried to absorb the lightning, but he was stunned and wondered what was going on. I'm not sure why it's not working. Shui Yan opened her eyes and told him that it was pointless, that the lightning had entered the bone marrow. And she informed him she was going to die. Yi Yu was adamant, telling her that he would not let her die, claiming that touching him would neutralize the electricity. He wounded himself with the sword and shouted out in agony, informing her that his blood was more potent. Shui Yan wanted to smile at him, but she couldn't since she was still in pain. Yi Yu yelled at her, telling her she had to drink it. Yi Yu clenched his teeth and assured her he would not let her die, but Shui Yan merely gazed at him regretfully, becoming weaker by the minute. 4 figures appeared, informing him that he had arrived. Yi Yu looked at them, and both Wang Lin and Qian Shongshan approached him, telling him that they had been seeking for him for a long time, and that they hadn't expected to find him here by chance. Qian Shongshan instructed Yi Yu to hand over the martial arts expertise and the spirit elixir in exchange for an honorable death. Yi Yu informed them coldly that he has no time for them and that they should fuck off right now. Qian Shongshan yelled, telling him that he was going to die soon, and how could he be so conceited, and that he will be killed by everyone. He used his strength, and Wang Lin followed suit, as they yelled for him to die and go to hell. Shungting was frightened and warned the hero to be careful. Yi Yu had a blank expression on his face as he told them that they don't want to live and ignited his power. He used his raindrop guardian spirit to form a barrier, and they were all blasted away. Qian Shongshan was stunned and exclaimed, "It's impossible." Wang Lin was terrified, wondering how he had become so powerful in such a short period of time. Yi Yu approached them, and he gazed at them coldly, clutching his fist and thinking that he couldn't hold on any longer. Qian Shongshan began to perspire, and they all agreed that his spiritual pressure was too great. They immediately bowed, and Wang Lin begged him to spare them in exchange for 5 spiritual elixir. Qian Shongshan informed him that he would give him his ancestral secret book if he did not kill him. Yi Yu's technique became violent, and he told everyone that he didn't want any of those things and that he had had enough. And the water replied to his instruction, cutting all of them and killing them all. Miss Yan's eyes widened in surprise, and she realized Yi Yu was not the man she remembered. Yi Yu painfully touched his chest as his power and pressure vanished. When Yi Yu looked at Shui Yan, he fainted. We see the old man Yan Shan riding a caravan a few hours later, and Yi Yu opened his one eye and wondered where he was. When he fully opened his eyes, they sprang out of their sockets as he stared right into Miss Yan's melons. As blood streamed out of his nose, he reddened and smiled. He wondered if this was heaven. When he glanced up again, he noticed 2 balloons in front of him, and Shui Yan spoke as she informed Miss Yan that it had been 3 days. As he yelled, "Great, I'm coming my heaven," he tried to touch his heaven. But before he could contact his heaven, he was stopped by both the lady, and he wondered why he couldn't touch his heaven. Both women were serious, and Shui Yan asked him how he could think this after only waking up. Miss Yan informed Shui Yan that she believes it is best for him to continue sleeping. As he had an innocent face, Yi Yu was sweating bullets. They both hit him in the face, knocking him out instantaneously. And Miss Yan commanded Yan Shan, the old guy, to stop. Yan Shan informed Miss Yan of their arrival. Is it just me, or is there something significantly wrong with his eyes? When Yi Yu, Shui Yan, and Miss Yan stepped outdoors, they took a glance around, and Yi Yu inquired, "What is this place?" He inquired once more if they had departed Xianyang City. Shengting stared at him and told him that there was a disturbance in Xianyang after he fainted, so they took advantage of the situation to flee. Shui Yan grinned gleefully and told him that they had robbed a lot of medicine on the road to help him heal his wounds. Yi Yu's sweat dropped as he asked her if he was okay. Shui Yan swallowed whatever she was chewing, and she informed him that she was okay, and he had repressed the thunder. Yi Yu smiled pleasantly and said that's wonderful, and he laughed cheerfully as he told her how brave and brilliant he is. Miss Yan added her own point of view, saying he should be ashamed. They both yelled at one another. And Yi Yu said, it's all because of his power. Shui Yan pondered. What kind of body is he? And how could he stop thunder with only blood? That's all for now.
If you did enjoy the video, then like, share, and subscribe for more, and have a great day.